Well, guys, welcome back to the channel. I got a little something for you again today. Let's go over some more stuff. All right, so best bang for the buck. Am I enjoying my stage 2? Did I get everything I expected out of the stage 2? And the answer to all those questions is yes. All right, let me do some explanation. Let me show you a few things, and let me tell you the first and most important thing to a setup like this or like any other setup. I don't care what kind of engine you're doing or what kind of horsepower you're looking for. The first and most important thing to think about is your mechanic. Guys, I kind of explained to you in the last video, George, which is the mechanic that I use to do my bike, and I pretty much use him for everything related to my motorcycle at this point. And another guy said it best: finding a good mechanic is like hitting the lottery. Excuse me for the light. Finding a good mechanic is like hitting the lottery, especially an honest mechanic and somebody who stands behind their word. Let me tell you how I picked George out. A few friends told me they went to George already. Good results from George, and I'm not talking like horsepower or anything like that. Just good mechanic work, getting you in and out, not sitting there all day and trying to play the number game with you at the same time. Let me tell you something. What a lot of mechanics will say: they had your bike a couple days, you got to expect a couple days worth of a price. Okay, you know, I really don't like that. I really don't even like to leave my bike overnight anywhere or any of my toys, because you just never know. You just never know what can happen to them. You just never know what's going on behind the scenes. But George is one of those guys, a real stand-up guy, really, you know, an honest person. So let me tell you and let me show you how we went about this, and I'm going to turn you around and let you watch the bike while I'm telling you this story. First and foremost, to pick George, I had to go and do a little politicking with him. I had to go and talk to him, pick his brain a little bit, and see if we were both on the same page. I'm just that kind of guy that if I don't feel like we're vibing or jiving real good, then you're probably not a mechanic for me. And I'm sorry if there's wind in the background. I'm at one of my favorite spots. You guys know it. But anyway, if we're not vibing and jiving, I don't really like to use somebody like that, because it just feels like I'm paying you for a service and I'm hoping for the best at the end. If we both understand each other, then we both know if I got the best out of what I asked for from the very beginning. All right, George, I asked him, hey, I come from, you know, street bike background. Automatically, he already said you're looking for horsepower, right? All right, now this is how we picked a horsepower cam over a torque cam. I know a lot of people are wondering, but look at it this way. If you figure yourself as a highway rider or light to light rider, or just somebody who, you know, you're a cruiser, you want to get over in front of cars on the highway, that type of deal, usually you're a torque cam person. If you're a highway cam person or a horsepower cam person, you like to ride the bike in the RPMs. You like to hear the sound of the exhaust. You like to know where your power is going to hit every time. And if you're a twisty type of guy, or you're a drag race type of guy, horsepower cam is for you. I hope I made that as simple as I could. You guys can figure it out from there. Now, not to say that one is better than the other. It just all depends on your riding style. So let me show you a few things that we have. Let me show you a lot of things that I thought about when it came down to, you know, making the selection on all the parts. Now, I can give you prices based off of how I pay for my items. Now, basically, everything with the engine, I'm talking about your push rods and your cam, all the little things that he has to do in there, that's a $2,000 job. $400 for the intake, straight from Harley. I had no choice. And my exhaust. The exhaust was about, I don't want to say around $2,000, but it is around the $2,000 range, because I got the ghost pipe with it. You can look them up. You know, it's a D&D billet cat. You can look it up all day and see what the price comes out to with everything all said and done at the end of the day. That was not my first exhaust, guys. That was not my first choice, but I had a Bassani 2-in-1, supposed to make good power, but I've always heard these made better power, and that's why we went with that exhaust. I like the way it looks. I like the way it sounds. I like the slash cuts on the end. That was just more appealing to me. So I got rid of the Bassani and I got this exhaust and threw it on. Didn't really cost me anything too much of a difference because I got good deals on both exhausts. So we're going from there. We got the Cyclorama 470 cam. I explained all this in the last video, but I think this video I want to get a little bit more in depth for you guys to kind of let you guys understand where I came from. And sorry guys, they're still out here working. And the thought process behind all the parts and everything like that. If you look at the push rods and the covers for the cuffs, everything's black. Just was my preference. I think I'm gonna go back and do the whole boat kit in black as well because it kind of clashes for me. I like it all blacked out. We went from there. We got everything together. Now back to your mechanic. My mechanic has an in-house dyno. He knows how to run his in-house dyno, and what he doesn't know, he has the ability to reach out to other people to get the knowledge or get the information or get the help that he needs to make everything work. All right, we had to do that, as a matter of fact, because on the 2021s, which are a little different from the 2020s, just the computer-wise, we had to turn a couple of things off. We had to make sure we didn't have any check engine lights at the end of the day, and we wanted to make sure it was as crispy as it's going to be, being that these bikes have this RDRS system now, which makes it a little difficult. You just gotta know how to beat that system by the flip of a switch to get everything out of this bike that you pretty much want. When we went from that, we got everything put together. We got the dyno going, and it was a hard fought process for me because I stopped him with 128 horsepower, right? The air fuel ratio was pretty good. I mean, it's livable. You gotta figure you're going by the weather. When you get out here, it might be a little different anyway. But I was tired of beating on the bike. I didn't want to really beat on the bike anymore. Remember, guys, I probably hadn't even broken 1,000 miles on this bike yet. So me sitting up there and watching him beat on the bike even more just didn't sit well with me because, he wants to get it right. He wants to make sure you're getting every horsepower for your dollar. Sure, this could have been 130 horsepower stage 2 bike, which I haven't seen many of, but it could have. We could have just, kept going, but it wasn't worth it for me at the end of the day. I think I got everything out of this bike that I could possibly get out of it. Now, let me show you this. Get your calculators out, get your pen and pad, because real quick, this bike started with about 82, 83 horsepower. We ended with 128. If you do the math, that's about 46 horsepower. That's enough bang for the buck. Like I said, guys, in the beginning, I wasn't going to start with a stage 2. I had ridden a 128 before, and I liked the feel of the 128. So I could have just jumped out and went with a 128. But what they don't tell you is a lot of the times you need chain drive. You need a lot of other components, which are still expensive. That chain drive alone is about $1,000. Chain drive, sprocket, plus the installation, that's $1,000. And then you're not breaking belts. You start putting down big power, you're going to start breaking belts. Nobody tells you that, do they? But he was straight up and honest with me. He said, look, we could get up to around 130 and change, maybe. And that's with the E85. We haven't done that tune yet. But, with E85, and then you're pretty much peaking on what that belt can handle. So just be cognizant of that, because that's one of those other things that, people just don't go over. They want you to go ahead and, like what you have, feel that power. But at the end of the day, you might be stuck on the side of the road wondering why the belt popped. These things make a ton of torque. This made 125 foot-pound of torque. Damn good. Stage 2 kit, damn good. Now, let me tell you this. Will I go to a 128 kit? Maybe. I mean, I have to be out here trying to really race this bike for me to turn around and put that kind of money into it. So you're taking a $2,500 system, maybe depending on your exhaust, $3,500 system versus spending $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 on a 128 kit. Is it worth it? Maybe for you. You want that power. You got friends that got high horsepower bikes. Remember now, 128 should be getting you around 150. 131, the same thing, and maybe a little bit more, but now you got something serious going on. If you're like me, and I'm scratching my neck on this one, if you're like me, guys, any weird sound, we're on it. We're paying attention to every weird sound because we think it's something wrong. No, once you start putting down power, once you start making those putting those big cylinders in these bikes, it's gonna make noise. There's a lot more going on, a lot more compression, just a lot more rattling, and a lot of the times Harleys are noisy to begin with. So if you hear something new, you're like, oh, am I hurting something? Am I gonna hurt something? Let me take the bike back. Let me get it over here. Let me get it over there. And a lot of the times it's nothing. My bike from the beginning was noisy and is still just as noisy in the head. Changed the oil, changed everything else, still sounds the same. Hotter it gets, maybe it'll get a little louder. We found out that those are the rockers. No big deal. It's not hurting us. It's not robbing us of horsepower. If I take it to Harley, they're going to say, go pound sand for a little while. And then if I make a big stink, I'm sure they'll look into it a little bit more. But at this point, it really ain't worth it for me. But that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, if there's any other questions you got, I think I've pretty much gone over everything. I like it. It sounds great. It rides great. It has the power when I need it to come on. And you know what? I want you guys to hear it again, because a lot of the times we pick cams based on just the sound, just the pure sound of the bike to begin with. And if that's you, if that's what you're into, I'll show you right now. Here we go. Turn you around. I like it. It puts a smile on my face every time I turn this bike on, man. Hey, sometimes I'm just in the garage and I'm like, let's hear it. Let's just crank it up. I know a lot of guys are like that. I know I can't be the only guy like that. I can't be. We just want to hear the exhaust, even if we're not going nowhere. I don't care if it's raining outside. I'll pop the garage, crank it up, let it run for a few seconds and shut it down. But guys, if you're like me, hit the like button. You got any questions, comments, drop them in the comment section. Anything else, hit me over at my Instagram, man, the real OfficialMac. I answer all your questions over there a lot of the times. I don't see your comments on YouTube, but if you got something you need to reach out to me about, a lot of guys do it anyway, reach out to me over there. I'll be sure to get with you. All right, guys, till the next time, peace.